What's up, YouTube land? Xeno Gaming here, and welcome back to episode number 14 of my F1 2021. My team, and I'm back on it. I'm going to try and finish this as much as possible. So the last episode I uploaded was the Russian Grand Prix, and today we have the Japanese Grand Prix. Normally Singapore comes in between, but when I played through this Grand Prix, unfortunately, only my qualifying footage saved, so I only had footage from qualifying. Here you can see I qualified 10th on the grid, but unfortunately, the race completely corrupted. I think I just didn't have enough space left on my computer, so it stopped recording pretty much straight after qualifying, which was a bit of a shame. And I was going to show you the result of the Grand Prix today, but then I would have showed the result of the Japanese Grand Prix. But I qualified 10th, but I didn't have that good a race. I actually can't remember what exactly happened. And I finished in 14th, so we didn't score any points there, which was unfortunate. But anyway, moving on to the Japanese Grand Prix now. I'm going to be straight into qualifying. But yeah, my goal for this series now is to finish this season, definitely finish a second season, which I haven't done in a long time, and then maybe finish a third one if there's time. I might shorten the calendar a bit as well for the next season, just to get through it a bit quicker. So anyway, here we go. This is the start of my first lap in qualifying in Q1. You can see here yellow flags. Pierre Gasly out of the session, so he's got some car issues as he's pulled over to the left-hand side of the track. So I thought that was interesting. And then coming through the middle of this same lap, and coming through the middle part of it now, and through the second deck in the corner, on the run to the hairpin. Now Daniel Ricciardo out of the session as well, so he's also got car issues. Same lap as we're heading up to 130R now, down the back straight, the long run through the corner. And now Fernando Alonso is out of the session, so that's 3 cars that have all had separate issues. I was a bit late to jump into the replay cameras, unfortunately, to see what happens. But yeah, But unfortunately for those 3 drivers, they've all had mechanical issues here in qualifying 1, so they're all out of qualifying. So that's 3 drivers that are already knocked out in Q1. So you saw our first lap time there, it wasn't fantastic. And here is the end of Q1, and we're improving massively. 6 tenths. We're currently in 18th. We need to improve to get out of Q1, and we do that to be safe into Q2. So we qualify, or we're now currently sitting in 14th place through to Q2. So is George Russell, so is Raikkonen, Giovinazzi. The ones eliminated: Schumacher, Latifi, Mazepin, and the 3 drivers who had issues. So Lundgaard in 16th there through to Q2, which is good for us. So we need to find a bit more pace though. I wasn't happy with my Q1 lap, because if those 3 drivers don't have issues, we are probably out in Q1. So now coming here to start our first flying run in Q2 on the U set of softs, and we come through the exit turn 2. Unfortunately, I put it in the barrier.
What happened? Let me know you're okay.
So yeah, that was a bit of a disaster, putting it into the barrier. So hopefully we can have a better run in the race, and we're going to qualify in 16th position. Lundgaard here, you can see, gets into Q3 for the first time, I believe. So that's good for him. But anyway, we're going to give it to Crofty, who will break down the race.
We come to you live today from the Mie Prefecture in the south of Japan's Honshu Island for a race that has seen many title deciders over the years. Some simple, some controversial, but all contributing to a legacy that makes the Japanese Grand Prix an indispensable stop in any Formula One season. A lap of this historic racetrack covers 3.6 miles, and it's the only time during the season that we race on a figure-of-8 racetrack. The drivers can expect some intense G-forces through the 18 corners on offer here as they experience some of the highest average apex speeds on the Formula One calendar. And keep an eye out for overtakes going into the final chicane. With the Grand Prix nearly upon us, Anthony Davidson is by my side once again to offer his perspective. Now, I want to ask you about Lewis Hamilton. That was a great win in the last race. Can they keep that momentum going this weekend?
It's always nice to come into a Grand Prix weekend on a high, but your expectations are based much more on your practice and qualifying runs. So it's the momentum from those sessions that they'll be hoping to carry into the race today.
It's time to take a look at our starting grid for today's race. Valtteri Bottas lines up on pole position, and it's Lewis Hamilton alongside. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Perez, Tsunoda, Esteban Ocon, and Vettel. Stroll, Raikkonen, Giovinazzi and Lando Norris. They'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty. Russell, Jackson, Charles Leclerc, they've taken a grid penalty, and Mick Schumacher. Sainz, Latifi, Nikita Mazepin and Pierre Gasly. They'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty. Fernando Alonso, Ricciardo, Verstappen and Christian Lundgaard. And with preparations almost complete, let's head down to the track.
So welcome everybody to the Japanese Grand Prix, and we've moved up from 16th to 12th due to the engine penalties, which is a good sign for us. It's always good to move up positions. We're going to go on a soft to medium strategy. This is the personalised strategy, and it's also the hard tyre is just not that good compared to the medium tyres, especially at this track. That's not a good race tyre at all. So we want the mediums. The softs should be able to last 11 laps, no problem. So simple one stop today, soft to medium. So let's go. And we've got Russell ahead of us in 11th, Norris in 10th, Leclerc. Unfortunately, Lundgaard, who qualified inside the top 10, has taken penalties and he starts outside the top 10. So no chance for him to score his first career points in Formula 1 here today. I guess that should be a bit of a goal for him to score at least a point before we move on, because I think we definitely will be moving on. He's just not fast enough at the minute. So anyway,
Keep an eye on the lights. The start sequence will begin as soon as the grid has formed.
thank you, Jeff. So here we go for the 5 red lights at the Japanese Grand Prix. And we go here in Japan. Russell doesn't get such a great start. We get a pretty decent jump. Norris doesn't get a good start either, and actually Russell goes alongside Norris. We go up the inside of Lando Norris. We go conservative in the turn 1. We're 3 wide here with Norris and Russell, and we managed to overtake them both. We're now side by side with Norris. Russell dropped in behind, and we move into 10th place immediately behind the 2 Alphas of Raikkonen and Giovinazzi, who have been rivals for us this season. We're ahead in the championship, even Williams ahead of Alfa Romeo in the championship, and that is because in Singapore at the last Grand Prix, I finished 14th. There were some crazy things that happened in that race, because I was looking back at the results, and George Russell actually took a 5th place finish for his first points of the season, and Williams' first points, which actually leapfrogged them ahead of Alfa Romeo, now 10 points to 8, as we look up the inside of Raikkonen here into the hairpin, and we don't get it done. So we almost lose the back end horribly. Now we're going to be under pressure to Lando Norris potentially. We're going to use our overtake mode, and we managed to hold him off for now. Is he going to have a look into the spoon curve? No, he's not. Okay, so we hold ahead for now, but we drop 8 tenths behind Raikkonen, so not ideal. And we run a little bit wide there as well. Not a great run through the second half of the lap so far. But yeah, I was having a look, and yeah, Lance Stroll finished 3rd in that Grand Prix as well, which really put Aston Martin this season, seals the 7th up for them in the championship compared to us. I think 8th is the best we're going to do. They've scored a lot of points in the last few races, and Stroll has really upped his game. So anyway, moving on here to lap number 3, going to be the end of lap 3, start of lap 4, and we're behind Kimi Raikkonen. We've still got Norris right behind us, but Kimi just ahead, and he has a bit of a slide out the last corner, and we've got DRS here. He's got DRS as well, but we're going to use a great slipstream, all of our overtake mode. Go to the outside of Kimi Raikkonen here into turn 1, and we're going to sweep around the outside of the Iceman into turn 1 to do what he did to Fisichella back in 2005, and that was probably one of our better overtakes of the season. Really clean and good to get past Raikkonen for 9th place. So now we've got Giovinazzi and Stroll ahead, but you can see lap 7 now, and we're actually falling back away from Giovinazzi and Stroll. You got Leclerc, who's moved up into 11th place. He's got past Norris, but he's also now trying to make his way past Kimi Raikkonen. But we're only a second ahead of Kimi Raikkonen. We haven't really pulled the gap. We're just out of DRS, but we can't pull away any further than that. It's not like Raikkonen's getting DRS assistance. Ocon and Tsunoda come into the pit lane, which promote us for now to P7. But we just cannot catch Giovinazzi and Stroll. You see Giovinazzi now 2.6 ahead. Yeah, as Leclerc actually gets past Kimi Raikkonen, so he's going to be attacking us very shortly. He's on a set of mediums, which he started the race on. He's just been stuck in the traffic, has Charles Leclerc. I think he started just behind us in this Grand Prix, and now he's finally able to get past and get a bit of clear air himself, so he easily passes us. And then we've got Lewis Hamilton behind us, who's just come out of the pit lane. and he's going to easily sweep past us, I think, here. And if it's... He's looking up the inside into 130R, and we're going to leave him the space. And Hamilton gets us for 7th place. A really good move from him. He's on the hard compound tyre going to the end, and now Norris back behind us. So we're going to defend from Lando, but he actually pulls into the pit lane, so he's going for the undercut. We're coming in on the end of the next lap, and you can see here that Perez is in the pit lane, and so is Valtteri Bottas. And Bottas actually gets ahead of Lewis Hamilton, so any chance at Hamilton's undercut attempt there, we just held him up for a lot of that lap, and he had to make an overtake on us, and it means he doesn't get ahead of his teammate here, which is unfortunate for him. And we're now going to come into the pits on the next lap, releasing Sergio Perez to chase after the 2 Mercedes. Obviously, Verstappen back in the pack due to his grid penalties, but Stroll and Giovinazzi also into the pit lane on the same lap as myself. So you can see how well Lance Stroll is performing in that Aston Martin. Currently, he's in some good form, with Giovinazzi as well having a pretty good race for Alfa Romeo. So good stop there by the crew, 2.3 seconds, and we're going to come out behind Sainz and Lando Norris. So I think Sainz actually undercut us. He stopped pretty early, but he's on the hard tyre. So is Lando Norris. Giovinazzi on the medium compound tyre, and I believe so too is Lance Stroll, I believe, but don't quote me on that just yet. We've got Raikkonen behind, 2.7 seconds on Alonso, but they're on hard tyres. They're not going to be a threat in this Grand Prix, as Norris is now attacking Sainz as Mazepin pits, one of the last guys to pit in this race, as Norris easily overtakes Sainz into turn 1, so that McLaren has got some pace. And, well, good move there for Lando Norris. And here we go now. We're pushing up to the back of Carlos Sainz, who's on the hard tyre. It's a slower tyre, and we've got a pretty good run, and he's not using the slipstream ahead from Lando Norris, and we are all in his slipstream. So we're getting a really good run. We're using a lot of overtake mode there, and with a lot of battery to get this move done. We're running outside. Norris is doing the same move to Giovinazzi. We pull our move off. Norris doesn't get ahead of Giovinazzi, but now Norris is going to have DRS on Giovinazzi into turn 1. So we move up into 11th position. Can Norris move up into 9th place? He's not quite close enough. He doesn't go for the move into turn 1. And Giovinazzi actually following Ocon, who was on the hard tyre. Remember, he pitted earlier than all of us did, so he's on older tyres. And here comes Norris again on Giovinazzi. He goes to the inside. Giovinazzi defends to the middle of the track. Norris has the inside line, but Giovinazzi's able to sweep around the outside and hold on to P9. So a great battle here between Giovinazzi and Norris, the Italian holding up firm at the minute. Now here on lap 19, Norris still attacking Giovinazzi, and we're just following behind. We get a pretty good run here through Spoon, and we're going to use dump our battery. We're going to use it a lot here. We've got a good slipstream here on Norris. We've closed right up. We're close to Norris, then here's Giovinazzi. We get a really great run through 130R. We're going to go to the inside. Norris defends. We go right to the inside, and he holds it for now, but we now go around the outside. We get a really good exit off the chicane there. Norris, a terrible exit, and we get past the McLaren driver for 10th place and a World Championship point. So now 1 point for us in this Grand Prix. Sainz attacking Norris, but Norris able to hold off. Now here's Giovinazzi attacking Ocon through 130R. He tries to make the overtake. Ocon sweeps around the outside. So you can see Giovinazzi on the medium tyre got a bit of pace compared to Ocon, at least in this Grand Prix. He's attacking him for 8th place. And can Giovinazzi make the move stick? We almost lose the back end. Giovinazzi now with a good run out of the final corner, and DRS is able to easily overtake Ocon here into turn 1 and take 8th place. So that is a good haul of points here for the Alfa Romeo driver. And now we're going to quickly get past Ocon, and so we can go into Giovinazzi. This is the same lap. You can see Giovinazzi has already pulled 2 seconds on Ocon. We immediately, this is the first opportunity we really have to get past Ocon here down to 130R, and we do so immediately. And he tries to hold on, but we get past. But you can see we're 2 seconds behind Giovinazzi. He's able to pull out that gap in pretty much 3/4 of a lap, pretty much a lap actually. So good lap by Giovinazzi. He's got some pace in that Alpha, but now Ocon is quite slow. You can see Norris immediately on to the attack, and he is going to sweep around the outside of Esteban Ocon here into turn 1. So Ocon falls out of the points here. We're currently sitting in 9th with 2 points here. Lap 25, we've only got it to 1.8 on Giovinazzi, and Norris is rapid behind us, 3/10. So we're trying to close the gap to Giovinazzi. See 1.7, trying to get in that DRS, and also trying to keep Norris behind at the same time. You can see Ocon, he's actually got some engine issues. He's now 8 seconds behind. Sainz also has issues. You can see the huge train. We have a huge slide though out of speed, and Norris is now past us here. We jump into his slipstream, see if we can attack Norris now into the hairpin, and we're going to look down the inside, but no, we don't try it this time. Norris locks up, I lock up. Now can we DRS him back down the main straight? But he's got more grip. He gets a great exit, good traction for the McLaren. And we use our DRS here. We're going to dump all the battery we have left. We don't have much left. Norris is going to defend here. I look to the inside, but I'm just not far enough alongside. And Norris is able to sweep back around the outside and maintain 9th place. And now I'm just conserving here. And I know 9th place or 8th place is over for me. So you can see we moved to the last lap. You can see Valtteri Bottas has won the Grand Prix. So that is a good win for him here. But you can see Giovinazzi is being caught by Norris, but Norris is able to get past. No, he's not. So Norris had some rapid pace on that last lap, last 2 laps, and we come across the line to finish 10th for a single point. So yeah, we'll give it to Crofty for a breakdown of the race, and I will be back shortly.
The Mercedes team pulled out a fantastic performance today. They should be proud. Anthony Davidson, how do you think they were able to set themselves apart today?
I think that smart tyre management on track and very smooth driving definitely assisted in their victory today. That combination meant they got the absolute maximum out of their tyres at all times.
Mercedes are on top form once again after an excellent race weekend. It's great to see them up on that podium once again. Our championship leader is still sat at the top of the standings, but their rivals have made up some solid ground today. So, Anthony Davidson, who would you rank as your driver of the day?
Charles Leclerc showed exactly how to manage yourself out on the track today. He was almost flawless out there. Incredible stuff.
It's time to check out the constructors' standings. Mercedes continue to extend their lead. Meanwhile, good work from Aston Martin this weekend, who pushed themselves further up the order. Well, Ant, an end to another fantastic weekend of racing. Thanks to everyone who joined us, and we'll see you for the next one.
So that wraps up the Japanese Grand Prix. Valtteri Bottas with his 6/10 of a second win over Lewis Hamilton. I believe Lewis Hamilton coming out behind me and me holding him up for a lap before he could overtake me, or half a lap, 3/4 lap, has cost him a chance at victory today here at Suzuka. Myself, 10th place, decent finish. Lundgaard only manages to get to 19th. Verstappen from the back of the grid can only manage 15th place. Charles Leclerc getting 6th from 13th on the grid, which is a pretty good result. We can see the results there for the Aston Martins, both finishing well in the points. But in the championship, Hamilton has a 37-point gap over Valtteri Bottas. Myself, we are on 19 points, but you can see we are 9 points ahead of Williams. Actually, sorry, it was Alfa Romeo on 7 points, so we're 12 points ahead of them. And then good points though today for Alfa Romeo, with Giovinazzi actually picking up 4 points. So yeah, not a bad result. We pick up 1 point. You can see our new rival in the rivalry is Lando Norris. He was the easiest option we had to choose. It was like either the 2 Red Bulls or the 2 McLarens. I went with Norris, either Norris or Ricciardo. I guess Ricciardo would have been easier based off where Norris is in the championship here. I'm showing this here really quickly just to show you some results from Singapore. You can see Hamilton won with Bottas taking a 2nd, and 3rd was Lance Stroll. And you can see I finished in 14th, and you can see just below me George Russell had a 5th place finish. It's his only points in the season so far. So yeah, that's all very interesting. But you can see I don't know how well we're going to go in the rivalry against Lando Norris, because you saw how rapid he was at the end of the Grand Prix. In the last 2 laps, we couldn't keep up with him, and he was on hards, I was on mediums. Yes, my mediums were probably more worn at that stage, but we pitted pretty much at the same time. We actually, remember, pitted 1 lap before me, so older tyres, and still had that much pace on me. So anyway, I agreed to do this to keep up the morale. I wasn't worried about the cash too much, so let's keep up the morale, happy in the chassis department. Moving on, we're now going to make an upgrade here on, I think, a tyre upgrade here for tyre wear. Get a bit of better tyre wear throughout the Grand Prix, and I think that is very important for race pace. As we go, we unfortunately get a failure on the chassis department, which is unfortunate. But anyway, we fixed that. That's no problem. Next episode will be the American Grand Prix, USA Grand Prix, Circuit of the Americas, one of my favourite tracks. So hopefully we have a good race out there. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you're new for F1 content. And until then, I'll see you next time. Goodbye.